Hello, future infinitive.
Hello, how are you? Oh my gosh, look at all those fireworks. That was great.
Yeah, it was
Er, Oh, uh, I found my Meshtastic thing. I had it the whole time. I
uh
thought I brought it. I was like, why would I not bring it? What is wrong with me? I found it, you know when? On the drive out.
yeah.
Everything was really hard about that burn. It was so difficult. I don't know.
I was just talking about these. These are so great. This
Oh
is still
yeah.
it's still running since before the burn. I haven't charged it.
Okay, that's cool. Cause my other one, the oh geez, what is it? The one that I've been using that is the from LilyGo. It's the T-Deck. The T-Deck. It's fine, but the battery is weird and it like runs out. It goes
Yeah,
from like 80 to 0 suddenly, and it's there's a
right.
bunch of weirdness. It's just the charge controller's not great, but
Yeah. And the battery life is not very good, which is
yeah.
partially because of the screen, right?
Yeah, it's
And
like full
that's
color.
one of the reasons I'm so excited about the new one that has
It's
e-ink.
ink. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get one
But it
because
doesn't have a UI yet. So
oh well, that's hard. I like the UI one. That's pretty good.
that's one
Um,
thing with this. Did you use the Burning Mesh firmware?
I didn't. No, I didn't load it beforehand.
So
I it
I
was
was,
such chaos going out there for me at least. I don't know.
yeah. So I was at I went to all the Meshtastic meetups and met like a lot of the contributors to the open source project and
Uh-huh.
the hardware development, which
Uh-huh.
was like super cool. Learned a lot of interesting stuff. We have a call after this actually about doing something similar at Decomp. And
Oh, nice.
one of my big recommendations was like with the T deck, if you flash the custom ROM, it doesn't have the UI, which is true for most devices. Like the UI is built into the custom ROM that Meshtastic puts out. So if you use one ROM for everyone, like it doesn't work. You lose the UI, and like that's the whole reason of having a T deck, right?
Right.
So I was like, why don't we just share a QR code with the config that people can import instead of giving people a ROM? Because then the custom UI for each device is still going to work and people will still be
Right.
able to like use it.
Right.
And they're like, well, we could do that, but people would be able to like change the different like for example, one of the things was if people are sharing their location on the public channel, it's like unusable.
Really loud. Yeah, because it just yells.
It's like, okay, but you turn that off in the config,
Yeah.
right? It's
Right.
like, yeah, but they could turn it back on. It's like, okay, well, they could do that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, they wanted to like disable it so that people could not turn it on.
yeah.
I think they did that with oh, I mean, because Meshtastic was really big at Black Hat this year, and also
Uh,
at the what the security one that's big. T- Geez, that actually went to
DEF CON.
DEF CON. There we go. Words. I just woke up pretty recently, so but yeah, no, it was really big at DEF CON, and I remember the firmware had people with no like it was configured properly, in true security form. So it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that's like the key to doing a Meshtastic deployment is just have a firmware that's configured correctly rather than counting on everyone to configure it correctly. But
But
like,
you can also do that with a QR code.
yeah,
Because you can import configuration without replacing the ROM, and then you still have the UI that's device specific, and you don't have to like build the firmware for every device, which they didn't do, you know?
right. Right. That's true. I mean, that is like the hard part is if you want to get a bunch of people who aren't going to sit down and do the configuration steps, you want to have at least every firmware. Otherwise, you're going to get partial participation anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
The other thing we talked about was like if we put um nodes for like camps that do share their location,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then connect it to something like this is like a Raspberry Pi Zero clone with 4 gigs of RAM.
I got several of those, and now they're running like several key things in my house. Like those things
There's a
are great. They're
there's
$30. It's 4 gigs of
yeah,
RAM for $30.
but it doesn't have matrix multiplication extensions, and there's a new one that does from the same company, and it has 16 gigs of RAM in the same form factor, and it still only takes 5 watts. So like
What
you
is
could
their
run the big
cost?
LLMs.
Yeah.
It's like $100 or something.
That's still pretty good though for like something that can run
5 watts.
16 gig. Like you could
Yeah,
run a very, very competent 7B model on there.
yeah,
Like full floating point or something. Like I mean, yeah, that seems cool.
yeah,
I don't know. Um, this is sort of the thing about AI safety is that like the smaller models are getting smarter, right? They're more capable. I code with Quen 30B. Um,
yep,
I have like while I was at the burn had Quen when I didn't have signal fix a whole bunch of things on the firmware for the books like several
yeah,
times. I was like, what is happening? And Quen knew that 30B knew that like the board I was using didn't have some extension for something and it like was like, oh
yeah,
yeah, the S3 is well known to have this problem. And I'm like, what? You have 30 billion parameters. How did you know that?
yeah,
You're not old enough, young
yeah,
lady.
right.
Um,
The 4 billion is also so good.
I know.
I was at the burn. I didn't have any internet or anything, and there was somebody posted something in Cyrillic on the chat on the mesh, and I was like, I wonder if the 4 billion could tell me what this means. And it's like thinking, right? And it's like this doesn't mean anything, but in Russian, this Cyrillic is a phonetic transliteration of a colloquialism that's often used to say "I love you all." So that's probably what they're saying. And it's like, this took 4 gigs of RAM and it knew that? Like, that's insane.
That's amazing. Honestly, like yeah, I don't know. Right before, was it yesterday? I think I posted like another AI environment debunk and man, it really kicked the hornet's nest. A
Uh,
whole lot of people are super upset about it, but like, you know,
about what?
about like uh about the AI environment stuff.
Uh,
And I'm like, look, a lot of this stuff will run on like a thing that fits in your pocket and 5 watts. Like
uh,
16 gigs on 5 watts, bro. Like, what are you even upset about? And like, you know, I think I figured it out. I thought that it was like we got to keep the left away from AI with we'll tell them it's bad for the environment. I'm like, no. It's that certain people are doing data centers that are like not like that are in water stressed regions and they're using evaporative cooling and they're like doing all kinds of silly stuff. And those people are Elon Musk's personally, like him specifically doing bad stuff. And I'm like, but what they want is to deflect it onto a technology that you can't get rid of, right? That's what they actually want is it's not Elon, it's AI. It's AI and you can't stop it, so there's nothing to do, and it's like holding these people responsible for some of the stuff that they do is gonna be real tricky.
yeah,
Because they really want it to be the technology. It's not me, it's the technology. It's not me that has chosen to put a data center in a water stressed region and not use like proper cooling techniques. It's that AI is bad and you shouldn't use it, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I also think that's like, these are topics that I was talking about for years before AI was a thing. And it's like, the same arguments are still true today that like, the vast majority, like 90% of the water in the Colorado River Basin, which is like a quarter of the country, it goes to industry. It's not going to towns or cities or people. It's like that's
Yeah.
always been true. Industry
Yeah.
will always consume all available resources.
Right.
And and
Right.
AI is this trivial percentage of that.
Yeah, I know. I want to focus it on something else and like I'm like really wanting to get people to do stuff like I feel like, there's those music festivals and I go to music festivals, you know. I don't always post the footage from every music festival I go to. Yes, we're all talking only about music festivals. And so, you know, but I don't, you know, especially because I don't bring my phone with me, you know, when I go to a music festival, because you're supposed to be disconnected at a music festival. And like, you know, I want people to use drones. This is such a big deal. Like, you get great visibility, you get great pictures of the party. You can also see who's coming, where, and then you can alert the people around you. Oh, hey, people converging on us from five directions. We better go in the sixth, you know. And I feel like there's a lot of kettling happening at music festivals. There's a lot of like people, and then people going being gone after the music festival is over for doing stuff like reporting on the music festival,
Or having a
talking
drone.
about it. Right, exactly. And so or, you know, being a veteran at a music festival is apparently also not good, not allowed. And so
Yeah.
like I'm like, people learn to use drones, and like these models will talk you through the process of, you want to put a Raspberry Pi on a drone and get it to like follow your group around and get pictures of just y'all for the music festival. The drone doesn't have to like, you know, it doesn't have to be, um, you don't have to have your phone with this stuff, right? But you can do a lot with a Raspberry Pi nowadays. Like, you can run a facial recognition algorithm, or you can run like, you know, some sort of recognize this shape in an image and follow it, you know, with your, like, that's a thing that drones are actually very good at, and there's like so many solved ones. And I played with Quinn, and I was like, how much do you know about how to build drones? Oh, everything. Oh, you know everything about. Oh, you know how to design drones. Okay. How come you know how to design drones? Oh wait, you were from Alibaba. Oh no, what data is in there? What data went into a thing that Alibaba built, right? Like, and it's a lot of technical data. It's a lot of technical stuff. It's just read a whole lot of scientific papers and like engineering specs, and like also a bunch of descriptions of products, right? And like what they're used for. And so it's got a lot of that data. And I'm like, these are super useful things, especially for people who wanna capture what's happening at music festivals. And also just keep an eye on your friends, you know,
Yeah.
keep an eye on your friend's safety. And
You know
that's
what?
very possible.
And you know what's really interesting, is like there are a ton of like the software, which so like I didn't know this until recently, but the software that runs on drones, on robots and stuff is all open source, and
Yeah.
it's all like designed to work with the kind of ways that we're talking about, like with using like agentic AI, using like message passing for instructions and like automatically coming back or whatever, or like going to a
Mhm.
specific place until the battery's low and then coming back and another one comes
Mhm.
in. Like
Yeah.
this stuff is all open source, and it's all designed to run on the same hardware that we've been using for all of these projects, these like ESP32s and
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, yeah, the art projects that I like work on, you know, they're all pretty, like, I have to lean on my projects knowledge working on other things. But I use a lot of what I learn with these art projects to do other kinds of projects for music festivals. And so, you know, and like it feeds into my security work, and it feeds into my activism and all that kind of stuff. And it's because I got to play with, you know, ESP32s and try to get like a bunch of books to talk to each other, and then that kind of stuff, you know. Um, so I don't
y-
know.
I'm sad that I didn't get to see it.
I know.
Did you see
There
the
there was a line of brides, a literal line of brides waiting in line to get married at the library. Like, so many people had a great time.
That's
Uh,
wild.
yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm like, really? Like, there's a bunch of people who are gonna tell their whole cute story, and then I'm gonna be a part of it. That's
It
the
looked
thing.
very cute from the
I know.
pictures.
It was cute. It was like, I know. I don't know. Sometimes I just got to do a weird thing though. I've learned that if my body's like, do this weird thing, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Don't get mad at me. Don't become dissatisfied. I don't know. Creatively, I'm sorry. I'll let you do what you want. I don't know. There's some muse and I have to
Uh,
appease it. And it was like, build a library in the desert. And I was like, okay.
yeah.
That's art. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's art.
I met someone who was like very upset about the library because they said some of the books were like cut
Were cut?
like in half, like to fit on the shelves or something.
Oh yeah, the books were cut in half to fit on the shelves. It was like the transport, like we would have had to use a lot more fuel. It was actually kind of a like environmental crisis to have to bring the whole thing. We were gonna literally bring just the face plates of the books, but then we were
Oh.
like, no, that won't look like a library. But yeah, no, it's like a conceptual library. I mean, there were books there that were full books, but there were a bunch of books that were cut.
And
But
it's
they're
like
like old,
old encyclopedias, right?
yeah, like encyclopedias from the 70s that are full of nonsense and like, books
Yeah.
about, I don't know, like Dr. Spock's awful book was in there and
Uh,
like, but it's like, yeah, it was like books we don't want to like just throw them away or just tear them up. They were like stuff that were being taken out of actual libraries and things that were being decirculated. So, yeah.
mm,
Yearbooks, there were a bunch of yearbooks in there, from like
uh,
the 60s and stuff. I don't know.
uh,
Like Who's Who this year, and it was like, this guy's the logistical shipping king, and you're like, great,
uh,
very important information.
yeah.
Yeah. Somebody says your mic feed is always 30 to 50 below mine. I should probably bring mine down, honestly. Let's be real.
Uh.
Mine is usually a bit hot
It's funny because I own a professional audio company for like 20 years, but I don't have any of that. Like,
stuff
it's like
available.
it's totally separate from this kind of thing, Like it
Yeah,
doesn't.
exactly.
So like I don't have a like monitor or anything.
Yeah, I always find the shoemaker shoes are the worst. Like
Hmm.
half the time my computer doesn't work or there's something like deeply, deeply wrong with it. And I'm like, I don't even know how to fix it. It's something deep in the kernel that I've like changed for some reason. Maybe it was Claude, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I came back from the burn to find that my main NAS uh like system volume was corrupted.
No, that's the worst. Did you have it
But the
rated?
yeah, the data is all there.
Okay, good. Proper
But
rating is
I
important.
like connect a Ubuntu USB, like synchronize everything, and then I'm gonna redo it.
Somebody asked if the Little Prince was there, and yeah, I did see some Little Prince references. Oh no, it wasn't in the. We could not cut the Little Prince in half. That would have been illegal. So no, the Little Prince was not in the library. Um, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Well, they said, well, if I turn mine down, then y'all can turn yours up, and mine won't blow out or overwhelm CJ's, and then that's usually how, at least like when I'm mastering a bunch of tracks, like you want to turn them all down to 24 dB so you have, or minus so that you have like some headroom. Anyway, track
I don't even
mastering,
I don't even
volume
know how to
levels.
do that.
I don't know. I mean, I learned. I use Streamlabs to do it, but yeah. Um, I don't know.
Damn, but it's so confusing. The Streamlabs like audio input mixer thing is like, especially
I
with Bluetooth, it's very confusing.
I have started so many streams where you can't hear me talk for the first 30 minutes of the stream. And then
Yeah,
I'm like so focused on what we're saying in the stream that I don't notice. Um,
I figured that out now, but I still don't understand how to normalize the volume. And why doesn't it have a compressor built in that's doing that automatically, you know?
it's true. It should have one. I don't really know why they don't have like a great way of handling it. I'm sure that there's some like plugin though, maybe theoretically. I but yeah, people wanted to know if I mean, it's fun. It's a fun thing. A lot of people were super mad about like the water and stuff like that. And I'm like, I did the math, y'all. You were using and like if you have a house and the biggest use of your water is watering your lawn, then yes, you still have to water your lawn while you're gone. But
Yeah,
if you don't have a house and you live in an apartment and you don't use water when you're gone, um, the only water you use is like, let's see, what happened? I mean, like, I don't know, like the incidental amortized water for the building or whatever, right? But like all my stuff was off. I turned everything off. So I don't know. I feel
yeah.
like a lot of people are not doing a lot of the calculations for real. They're just like picking one person and they're like, okay, that person is the worst. If we assume they're the average case, and then you're like, no,
Right.
you guys.
Motivated reasoning, for
Yeah, it's a
sure.
lot of, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm motivated to figure out is this thing bad or not, but like, I don't know.
But I think for most people, like they start with the conclusion that like AI is bad. And it's like, how can I try to justify that based on my limited understanding of things like water consumption and energy use
Right. And
and make an
everything's
argument
changing.
that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. I mean, I try to make my arguments in text most of the time. I end up like it's very weird to make short form videos because you can touch on 3 points max, the end.
Yeah.
And so people are like, well, you didn't touch on point number four. And I'm like, yeah, but I had 3 minutes. What do you what? But I need to do like a really deep dive. But there are so many blog posts out there that have done this deep dive, right? And I'm just like, y'all are not looking at those blog posts. You're like, Googling like how much water is AI deleting? Why is AI bad? And you're just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna convince you. It's fine.
And
I,
it also puts you in the awkward position of defending Elon, like is in particular because it's like it's literally using the water from the sewage treatment plant next door.
yeah,
Like it could not be better.
yeah. Well, there's like that one in Tucson. The one in Tucson, I was like, I need to look at that one because I
That
know
NSA
Tucson is a
thing.
water stressed area, but I think it's Elon. I mean, I don't know for sure, so I would have to like look at it. But like, I can't keep track of every single data center. That's sort of the problem. Like, you can always come up with some people somewhere doing something bad, but that doesn't mean the industry is bad or like that the
Oh, then
technology and everyone who touches it is bad.
the
And
new one,
when, huh?
the like under planning one in Tucson,
Is it?
it was unanimously defeated in the city council.
Great. That's why we have city councils. Heck yes, local politics. Way to go. Actual
Yeah.
public servants doing their real jobs.
Yeah, like
Um,
Tucson is probably not a good place to do that.
yeah, exactly.
Do it in Portland where it rains every day.
Yeah, like, you know, exactly, exactly. And yeah, people are like, I don't know, there were just so many people upset about it. It's just like it was bad in 23. Like there was a major increase in 23 after it came out in November of 2022. Like when ChatGPT dropped, everyone was like, "Whoa!" And then they started using it for a year. Suddenly, all data center stuff went up, and then everyone was like, "It's gonna go up forever," and like it didn't. It went boop, and it
But
like reached a new plateau
yeah,
generally.
and it was never more than 2% of global energy consumption,
Right. Like
or
what
more than 4% in the US.
I mean, you've done a lot of this research recently. Like what do we direct people towards for their environmental ire? Like what is a more
Yeah. If you
productive?
actually care about energy use, most of it, like the majority of energy use is air conditioning and heating. Like just for electricity. Most
Mhm.
electricity use is air conditioning. If you
Yeah.
care about water use, most water, like 55% is alfalfa. That's not even useful. We feed it to
Yeah.
horses in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Like
We
it,
export a lot of it.
yeah, industry, it is just a fact that industry will always consume all available resources.
Right. Right. If some resources are left available, like if we just were like, okay, well, we're banning alfalfa because it's not a human product, food product, and we feed other things to animals, so we're banning alfalfa. Cool. Now that water's available and that land's available, they're going to grow something else on it. And they're
Yeah.
going to try to consume as much water as they can because they have the land. If you were like, it's banned and now we're not doing it, the land would still be there. And someone would go, well, we've got to grow something because that's my job and how I eat and pay my bills.
It's
You
not
know?
even that. It's not even that they're gonna try to consume it. It's that they will always consume all of it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they have a right to it. They have permits, they have these water rights. They
Right.
will always use all of it or they're just throwing it away. Like this is
Right.
their income, they're always going to use all of it.
Yeah. And it's like, you can look up groups that are doing responsible stewardship and you can buy from them. Um, but you can also like, think about the amortized cost of stuff. Like I'm always like, hey, download an AI and run it on your computer. And they're like, well, that doesn't negate what it was used to train the thing. And I'm like, yeah, but that's already over. Like, not using it doesn't make the thing that already happened in the past go away. And it doesn't like reduce demand and therefore now they won't train another one. Like, they're
Yeah.
already doing that right now.
Sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah. So it's like, you can't, like, if you download it and run it locally, they don't get to know that that happened. And that's like the point also of
Yeah.
running it locally is nobody knows what you asked, you know?
Yeah. Also, the Quint 3 4 billion that will run on like literally any phone, any computer, any device can run this. The MMLU Redux is like 88%.
Yeah.
That's so like a person with a bachelor's degree will score 90. So like it's like as good as someone with a bachelor at like most of the questions that you might ask it, right?
Right.
And it knows fucking everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's like there's a ton of value there. And
Yeah.
like it'll run all day on your phone,
Right.
for free,
Right.
forever.
Yeah. I'm like, and your phone is hyper energy efficient. Like they have tried to get every second of battery life out of that thing that they can. They got in trouble for like manually kneecapping batteries or like, I mean, going in and purposefully making batteries seem like they're not doing as well as they were,
Apple.
but that doesn't mean that in the beginning, like, the OS is optimizing for battery life and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
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 I mean, somebody said, can you repeat what you said about electricity and directing iron? I mean, I guess what we talked about was water usage, which is like alfalfa. In terms of electricity use, I mean, honestly, like the game is renewables. I did a startup once called Sustainablist, and the team was working on solar panel installs and making them more efficient and easier and cheaper. And they just like, you know, simple stuff like seat belts, like the Ralph Nader kind of theory where you can actually do really simple interventions like seat belts, mosquito nets, like and make a huge difference. And like one of those big difference things I think is I'm just thinking it's like, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's just not computing. Computing is not like the big energy suck. Mining is a big energy suck. And computing does require mining, right? And so I think this is a thing, but I think better recycling programs for chips would help a lot, you know?
I also think like kind of tying these
Yeah.
points together, this is so important for people to understand that like for each of these axes, these are logarithmic scale, so it's 10 times more for each line, right? It's not like one more for each line. The amount of power that like individuals have in terms of like compute capacity compared to like oligarchs is like
Yeah.
incredible, right?
Right.
And so if you're limiting yourself to zero and like all of these players are like doing 100 employees worth of work in 2 seconds by just
That's
like
the
a
log scale.
yeah, like you're fucked forever
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
not. learning how to like leverage the limited resources that you have to accomplish 1,000 times more than you were yesterday, right?
Well, and it's stuff like going to the Tucson local government meetings, city council meetings, whatever it is, and making your voice heard is so much more impactful than like just I mean, like complaining about the concept of AI and displacing the blame from Elon Musk. Like that example, that thing that you showed, like how much compute is owned by who? Elon Musk personally is the top owner of compute, like as a human, as one guy. And when we say, oh, it's AI, you're letting Elon Musk off the hook. Like we're deflecting blame, and that's exactly what they want, you know?
Yeah.
And
People used to say data is the new oil, and I think like like we're like levels beyond that now, right?
oh
Like
yeah.
it's not data, it's like the ability to use it to do things.
Hmm.
And that takes an army of highly educated people or any of these free large language models
Right,
that
exactly.
that know more than any of those highly educated people did.
Yeah. My main complaint about AI is just that, like, yeah, Elon Musk owns all this stuff, and now he can use it to surveil people and analyze them, right? And I think that that's kind of starting to be a problem. Is that like certain keywords are just being watched by groups who, um, you know, want want to do bad things usually. Suppress some people, seize their land, colonize, that kind of stuff. And so, if you don't want the colonizers to get away with their colonizing, like, don't deflect blame onto nebulous concepts, right? Like nebulous concepts are not responsible for things. People do actions. And now language models do actions, so we should keep an eye on that as well. But like, you know, people are the ones doing actions, right? Like, I mean, people talk about like the CO2 that happens from cows, right? And like, sure,
Methane,
it's the cows are farting. They're the
right?
ones doing the farting. But like people bred all the cows and spread and put them into like KFOWs and gave them food that
Yeah.
tends to make them fart more and like stuff like that, right? Like those are specific people making those choices
They're not
because
even
they're
a
cheap,
natural species that evolved or ever existed in nature,
right? Like,
you know?
yeah,
Like we created that.
yeah. Yeah, we made them way less. I mean, and all groups did that, like the buffalo had way big horns. They basically were longhorns, you know. And they could defend themselves and were scary. And like, native people, we had like a big river of buffalo with kind of tiny horns, right? And like they were big and meaty, and that happened over time, you know. Like everybody did animal husbandry, but there's letting a bunch of them run free on a very large grassland that everyone communally maintains. And then there's like having a bunch of fenced off area where you ship in corn using a truck and you make cows stand in the mud in no shade for two horrible short lives, like the Kaushowitz situation, versus like a river of buffalo that runs through the entire continent. Like they're just different things and they caused different like impacts, right?
And that's why
Um,
America killed them all.
yeah, exactly. Because it
Because
was
they want
like
you to have to rent and go get a job. And
yeah. And they don't want you to have a bunch of infinite free food. Um, yeah. I
I spent a
mean,
lot of I spent a lot of time with the Paiutes during this burn.
oh yeah.
So like my former camp hosts them at the playa.
Hmm.
Uh, so like the spiritual elder of the Paiutes brought teepee and was
Hmm.
was staying in the teepee for the whole burn. And I was at I was there when the big storm hit and we had like the 65, 70 mile an hour wind gusts. And I was in this big metal structure that's like the 1,600 square foot orgy. It's like this huge, huge building
Yeah.
every year, and it is a safe place for whiteouts and storms and stuff, right? So
Hmm.
like when it rained and it was flooded, everybody was in there because it's like all these beds, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you could come stay in there and like be dry.
Yeah.
Uh, so I went in there on Saturday to like wait out the big storm, and it's designed for like 30, 35 mile an hour winds, right? So, but it's like
Mhm.
70.
Yeah.
And so we're all in there and it's just like rip, rip, rip. The whole fucking building exploded. Like the roof came off, the walls came off, and we're just like, there's like metal flying, right? And then the teepee is just like fine. It's
Yeah.
like I'm good. And it
Yeah.
reminded me that when I was in Missouri, we like survived a tornado in one, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
I was saying this to the spiritual elder, and he's like, yeah, it goes around.
yeah.
It just goes around.
Yeah, it's built for the wind. Yeah, teepees were not what everyone did. They were Plains Indians things because of the wind, because of tornadoes.
Yeah,
A lot of people used like the adobe houses where you don't have tornadoes and earthquakes, you know? Like, I mean, everybody figured out the house thing locally, and then we had the Europeans come over and they were like, bricks are good. And we were like, it's so I know, yeah, totally, but like, listen. And they were like, no, no, bricks, you don't understand. You're all savages and you use these weird things. And we're like, all right, build the thing with the bricks. How's that going for y'all? Is it working? It's not working? Okay, well, we got these.
right. Yeah. And that's why, like, with all of these land projects that we do, we always have the local indigenous groups
Yeah, they know what's
leading,
up.
yeah, leading the planning, and especially like
That's
building
great.
types and like how, like where should we put the buildings, right? And like
Yeah, where to put
don't
them?
put it
What
on the
kind of building?
there's a clearing on the hilltop, and there's a reason there's a clearing on the hilltop, and you shouldn't build things there, you know? It's
Yeah,
like,
you're like, okay. And like the word sacred, I don't know, like it makes white people listen, right? I feel though a lot of times it's like a shortcut to just to get like folks to listen, because it's usually for like a structural or engineering reason or something like that, right? And I don't know, like you know, I mean, the thing about like land management and the land, everyone's like, well, this is sacred land. You know what? It's all sacred. All land is sacred. All of it. Like literally all of it. It's all got purpose. It's all got like its own little way that it is. And like there's a reason why nature has made this clearing here. It's because it always gets hit by lightning or some stuff like that, you know. Um, and I think, you know, when we use the word sacred, it like is trying to cue you to slow down and think of things on like a longer time scale, you know? Like that's what it sort of means as a symbol in my experience, you know, like um working with native folks and listening about it and hearing the stories. I actually haven't gone on live on TikTok, so I'm gonna pull up
oh,
TikTok.
I
So,
changed my screen name on TikTok to say where we are.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Nice. To say where we are?
the name of this other place where we are.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised they
Um,
let you put that in your screen name because you
I
can't
know.
say
I
it.
know. You can't say the words of other locations, other programs that live on your phone, you know.
Uh,
There's different color ones, red, purple, you
purple.
know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we don't talk about them here. Yeah, I don't know. I
Are
mean,
you
it's
doing
everywhere.
much of the purple place?
I'm not doing the purple place. I found, I don't know, like on the red place and on the purple place, they don't seem to like me. I don't know what it is, but they like me on the pink one that used to just be photos that's run by Meta, you know. So yeah. That one is the thing. I
Are
don't
you
know.
getting I just so like I've had like recruiters from all of these different places reach out to me.
I mean, it's entirely possible that they have sent me an email, but that would mean that they have failed to get in touch with me. So,
Yeah. But like even like uh I don't know if I'm allowed to say. even Facebook is like, please come back and start posting things and we will pay you. And I'm like, no. Like,
Yeah, it's not been a great experience on that one.
yeah.
Most of the time the people who get into my comments are not like, like I'm a very big fan of critical thinking, right? And rhetoric. And like, I did debate in high school. I don't know if that's like obvious about me at all, but I definitely did debate. And like, I'm happy to sort of have a real conversation with people who want to like refute the central point, not just attack my credibility and character, or just say nope, lol. I mean, but there's a lot of that like dismissiveness. It's weirdly still a lot of kids, but there's
Or
also,
adult children.
yeah, there's also a lot of people in their like 50s on there that are like um hard to have a reasonable conversation with. And then there's a bunch of like, I like to call them mind expanding grandmas because they're like literally grandmas and they've got some time on their hands and they're just like on the reels and they're like, you know just like they're growing their mind and they're like learning new things every day, and I get to meet with them and they're pretty cool and fun. That's like my
Really?
favorite. That's why I'm on Instagram, is the mind expanding grandmas. Like
Uh,
that's the reason I am still happy there. There's like
m-
mean youngsters and that's fine, I guess, or whatever, but like the mind
yeah.
expanding grandmas are my favorite.
My experience with like boomers who are trying to be like interested in current events and stuff has generally been this at some point there's this like weird solipsistic foundation to whatever they're saying, and it beyond that is just like Reaganism all the way down.
Yeah, yeah. They
And it's
grew up
like
under it.
how
It's like a oh, what is it? Stockholm syndrome. It's like a Stockholm syndrome for Reaganism. They're like, well, but, and like, okay, like there might be two or three examples where like trickling down kind of happens, but it's like
like what?
only in fashion, kind of, pretty
Oh.
much. It's like fashion and what else? Fashion and food trends. When
Oh.
the wealthy start doing a thing with
The
fashion, then it
Dubai
becomes a
chocolate.
thing. Yeah. And then
I'm
like
not sure that counts. I'm not sure that's the same thing.
it's like that's what you can observe, right? That's like one of
Yeah.
those things that it feels like. And so
Right.
that's what creates that hallucination that like anything else actually works that way.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
That's
That
what
makes
I'm
sense.
interested in, is like why do people believe this thing? Like what they're seeing some evidence. It's not just that somebody's like it's true, it's true, it's true, and they just believe it forever. They're seeing something,
The
and
wildest part is like the people who like viscerally identify as like anti-Reagan, and yet every single thing they believe in is exactly what he believed in.
right. Yeah. I
Like
mean,
Yimbys.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yimbys are weird also. Well, I don't know. A lot of them are like they're not they're not like, yeah, let's put a, you know, a treatment center, an addiction center, a hospital in my backyard. They're like, yeah, more housing
more luxury
density.
condos.
Yeah, more luxury condos will make my one house worth more money, and that's like not. That's the Yimmys in San Francisco. It
Yeah.
used to mean I support building public services even if it compromises my house's value.
Have
That's
you seen
literally
the
what Yimby used to mean.
have you seen the Fimbys?
No, what is that?
Public public housing in my backyard.
Oh,
That's
that's cool.
I like that one. I'm
Public
okay with that
housing
one.
next to me.
Yeah.
Public housing where I can get to it and give it a hug. Yeah.
In undergrad in urban planning, there was this word that I'm kind of surprised it hasn't caught on, but banana, which is build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything.
Banana.
It's like one of my favorites.
Build absolutely nothing near anything. It's true.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna be happy that you built a thing near them. No one ever. What? You built a what? It's a daycare for the fluffiest puppies that we could find on Earth. Yeah, that sounds terrible. It's gonna use up all the water. Okay, well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It's funny.
yeah.
One
Um
of the topics that I'd like to figure out how to talk about is during World War II, Japanese General Yamamoto, Field Marshal Yamamoto, is purported to have said, "I would never invade the mainland US because there's a rifle hiding behind every blade of grass." This is
mhm,
probably apocryphal, but I think it sort of harkens back to, like um, a lot of people who we agree with in history who made arguments that like any attempt to disarm workers must be frustrated
mhm.
by whatever means necessary. That there's no line you shouldn't cross to prevent the disarming of workers, right? Um, and it strikes me that today, like it's also always true that everyone tries to fight the last war instead of the current one, right? Like we have all these aircraft carriers, like that's helpful. Like we're fighting the Japanese Navy today, right? Um, and that's just like not helpful anymore. But
Right.
we spend so much money on 30 cities that are floating around with aircraft.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the kinds of defensive tools that nobody has muskets today, right? But the idea that like those are the tools that are necessary to protect communities today, I think is something we need to think more about
Yeah.
when we look at like, you know, what's happening in Ukraine and the way that they've been able to leverage flying robots
Mhm.
to do all sorts of important things,
Mhm.
not just offensively, right? Like all sorts of important things. And
Right.
then imagining the ways that those things can also be useful for like agriculture and like why is Amazon the only one that gets to use UAVs to like send packages to people, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
why can't I do that? Like why can't
Right.
I need to send something to my brother's house. Why can't I like just send it? Like why do I
Mhm.
need to like rent that service from someone else's drone?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these things where it's like why are we like letting people rent that to us when we could just do it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of effort, but there's a lot of people out there who would rather turn their efforts to something more useful and impactful directly. Um, And I mean, I think we saw a lot of that with the Meshtastic update, like uptake. Like a lot of people picked up Meshtastic nodes and they run them now, right? And there's like much better coverage in a whole lot of cities. Seattle is fully blanketed and thorough.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, yeah, Seattle's totally like tip to tail, like covered all the way to the border, right? And we got folks covering a lot of the islands as well.
That's
Um,
great.
yeah, and like Seattle's very covered with Meshtastic. SF is still doing okay, but like the North Bay and the South Bay aren't connected, which is feels like a missed opportunity. But yeah, I think that a lot of folks like, are ready and willing to do some stuff, and it like, a drone charging pad would be helpful to have in your backyard if you got a backyard, you know. If you put it with a network of people who like you trusted to use that power well. And it's not gonna be a lot of power, it's like a cell phone charge. Would you give your neighbor a cell phone charge? Probably. Yeah.
Right.
And so
And a lot
so
of that is the same infrastructure we already have to be building in order to support Meshtastic nodes and support like running AI and all these other things that we want to do, with like a little solar panel. It can
yeah,
also do robotics.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Those like orange pies, like they can do a lot of great stuff. And you can put real-time operating systems on them. Like you can put ROS on those pies and they'll run. They're not as shielded as a PCB, but PCBs are cheap as well, you know. And so you can use them as consumer grade PCBs, right? As long as you shield them properly and you'll be fine, you know?
I bought several of the like 20 $30 uh quadcopters on AliExpress
Yeah.
to test out. And
Yeah.
it's cool because it's just like a PCB that's like the shape of like there's not more to it than that. It's just a circuit
Right.
board with that you attach motors to, and it's
Mm-hmm.
got the ESP32, same as any LoRa node, and it's like that's it. There's not more to it. And so you can like how much can you do with that, right?
Right. Right. I saw somebody on YouTube, because I've just been reading about drones lately. And I saw somebody on YouTube who literally takes like AirPods apart, old ones, um, and uses those because there's like this RISC-V, I think it is, architecture, and it's a really tiny processor. But they put them in headphones to do spatial audio and like noise cancellation, and it's actually doing a lot of work. Um, but the kind of calculations that you need to do for spatial audio and noise cancellation are very similar to the kinds of calculations you need to do to keep the motors running so that it's level, or like to move it around in certain ways, because like spin this motor faster than this other motor because the wind is buffeting us and I can feel that the gyroscope has us tilted, is like the actual operation that you need to do is like offsetting, you know, and adaptive offsetting.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same type of
And that's
calculation.
also like a yeah. And that's also like a really good like TensorFlow Lite or like any of these like um like edge artificial intelligence frameworks are great for that kind of problem, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And those will all run on, any of these
Tiny,
microcontrollers too.
tiny chips. Yeah. Yeah, because it's not new AI it's not like language models are the ones flying these drones, right? They can talk you through building one. They can talk you through configuring it for your purposes. Um, but they
And they
don't
can drive.
they can drive. They can decide when to send a drone. They can look at a map and go, "Oh, I see drones 3 and 4 are down. We should send two to back up," or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing that I think is like really exciting too is if you have these like small like you mentioned the Orange Pi, right? Where it's like this tiny device that takes like zero power and it can run any of these large language models. A lot of these ones that will run on there are intermodal. And so you could have it looking at a camera and making decisions in real time about like what's going on. Like we're trying to land, like here's the set, like look at this like raw JPEG and like give me like the exact target of where I need to land. And it's like, okay, here
mhm.
you go. Right. Like, and
Yeah.
that's so much easier than building like convolutional nets that try to do that or I think like there's a lot of like really interesting edge case opportunities where you can use intermodal large language models on the device to give it
Mhm.
like a lot of abilities that they've never had before, like pretty easily, I think.
Yeah. As a person who cannot relax, I built stages a lot this summer as like my like vacation. I like went to a bunch of music festivals, built the main stage in a lot of cases. And I found like one of the biggest uses of people's energy and time is, "Oh, I forgot this one tool and it's at site A and I'm at site B, 20-minute walk away, maybe 15, whatever.
Go
And
get
so I
it.
got to do 15 and then I got to do 15 back to pick up the tool that I forgot at site A." And like, if you could just have drones that could carry one tool, that would save literally hours of crew time at every
Yeah,
single site, you know?
yeah.
And there's a lot of those little tiny use cases where like a person can go do it, yeah, but like you can only bring so many people on your crew. You can't just have 50 people on your crew, like at some point it becomes hard to feed and like house those people, and like keeping crews tight is like what keeps like those companies setting up stages in a way that where everyone can get paid for what they do, or at least like offset the cost of getting to go. And so like I mean, if you've ever done a crew thing, like you know that your first job is fetch quest, right? And so like you just get sent on infinite fetch quests, right? And I feel like it's a good way to get in, but it's like not, you don't learn anything doing that. You learn stuff when you're like climbing up on a truss and you're like screwing together a weird clamp that you've never seen before in your life. Like that's when you're really learning stuff. And I feel like a lot of the like boring tasks, if we can automate them, it just makes it easier for smaller groups of people to do more things,
Yeah.
like, and I'm wanting
I've
to, generalize that out to the wider music festival community and like, what do we need at different locations? Is eyes in the air going to be helpful? Like with those micro drones, for
a lot of
sure.
fans, a lot of
Yeah.
fans in the air pointed in the same direction.
A lot of fans in the air pointed in the same direction is pretty cool, helpful. But also, yeah, like, I mean, if you can't bring a phone to these things or your phone doesn't work, having a thing that can stream back to a site that then can upload video is really, really helpful for the group. And then the person who's like controlling that drone, um, like you can have a drone that's controlled by a person, it's remote, but then if you hit it with like certain microwave radiation or whatever, it just falls out of the sky, right? But then there's the autonomous drones, which can fly themselves and like, oh, I've lost connection with the tower, I'll head back.
Yeah,
And those are all like it's no more expensive to train one that can respond to real-time commands than it is to set one up that's able to autonomously get somewhere and then autonomously come back, right? Like it's
right.
actually the same hardware. You don't have to buy a special different drone for that.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
also, we already have this project in the nonprofit of doing Faraday shielding and like
mhm,
understanding how to apply that to problems like the library protect if there was something happen, whatever. So
yeah,
like they have all these drones that are like inside of objects and like in there it's a drone and the object is it's like the Death Star, right? But it's like a
mhm,
it's like a mesh that's printed with the Death Star and then inside is a drone, right? And if you
mhm,
have a mesh like that and it's made of the right material, like that's a Faraday cage. Microwaves cannot affect it, right? Like
yeah,
even that problem is like uh
solvable
yeah,
with
yeah.
some help from some crew that know about how to build. I don't know how to build shielding, as it turns out. We made these books and we painted them with like conductive paint on the front. And so you could touch them and then they would start talking to you, right? And they worked
Uh,
at home and they worked in the car. And then when we got to site, they worked at camp. And then we put them in the dirt. They worked there, so it wasn't the dust. And they would work next to the library. But as soon as we put them on the shelves, they wouldn't work.
uh,
They would turn on and then they would never get triggered again. And we had this like adaptive touch capacitive thing so that like it could respond to different states of humidity rather than manually setting a threshold and that kind of stuff. But like
uh,
we could not get them to like work, and it was because the cables were not shielded inside the library. Like literally just unshielded cables. And we didn't have like there wasn't a way really to test it because you couldn't build the whole library where we had to build it. We just built each little section and then we like assembled it fully on site. And we did it like and it was, I don't know if it was like the lights were unshielded cables and the cables we were using were fine because they were the same cables we were using at home. But it's like little stuff like that where on site is different than in the build process. Every time it's like that. And you try for dev prod parity. Like that's like the biggest thing in deploying to anything. But it's really hard to actually do. And so it's like super important that on site you kind of have some experts that can help you debug this thing. And honestly, I straight up wouldn't have been able to do it without Quen and Claude when I had Signal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool.
So I mean, I feel like we could kind of leverage these things to build out some of these problems and then see how they work on site. But also like, I don't know. I mean, we do have to keep an eye on what people are using, right? Like what the other the groups who are doing the kettling at the music festivals are using with drones. What is their anti-drone tech that they have on hand? And how many of them do they have? Are they a standard deployment or is there just the one? Like, are
Yeah,
they at every site, every facility that stores the snowflakes? Like, I don't know. So,
the snowflakes. Oh, yeah. Well, I think one thing is like these are not the smartest people, right? Like the smart people have largely left, right? So it's not like there's a lot of thinking going on. It's not like they have like competent experts.
right.
So
So many
I
people who
like,
resign because they don't want to be part of it.
yeah, yeah. So I think the street will always be smarter than the corpos. This
Yeah.
is like sort of fundamental.
A
So
lot of people are, I think I've fully turned over on people who joined last time on Instagram. I got somebody who's like, "Why Burning Man? When I think of elitism and tech bro, I think of Burning Man." Like, just because some people you don't like a thing doesn't mean that everybody who likes that thing is the people you don't like. I don't,
yeah,
I don't know. That's when we take a large group of people and we paint them all with a broad brush, you're usually wrong. Just speaking as somebody who does data science, sorry, big group, try to say one thing about them, you're wrong. Um, like, yeah, there's
yeah,
tech bros that go there, and there's like the elite jerks, and there's people who do this thing called turnkey camps where they pay a person to come set their camp up and they show up for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they leave. Nobody likes those people. They don't get invited to the cool things. They're not invited to
and
the
you sabotage them.
we sabotage them. We like, you know, um it, like they don't get any coolness cred. They come out and they have a very cool costume, and people who are like gross and dusty are like, ew, to these clean people because they clearly didn't do anything. And that's what I like about Burning Man is that there's like actually this big core of people who are like, y'all are posers to the billionaires, and we're going to shun you even though you made it here. And the billionaires hate it. They get so mad about it. And that's
Yeah,
fun for me, is to exclude the billionaires. I mean, there's really inconsiderate people everywhere you go. It doesn't matter what group you're in, even a group of people who all agree with you. There's a lot of people in that group who are jerks. And there's a lot of people in that group who are going to do a bad thing and then some people are going to go, "You're those people." And like, no. All the
yeah, yeah,
humans are distinct individuals who make their own distinct individual choices. That's how humans like
yeah,
don't take a big group and categorize them as one and use one person to represent that group because it's wrong. You just
yeah.
statistically it's wrong.
And also like, you have a lot of the most interesting I need a new word for like people who are doing music festivals. People who are doing music festivals and etc. A lot of the most interesting and exciting of those people are there and like
Hmm.
working on building collaborations and having interesting conversations. And like for
Yeah.
example, like a huge portion of the Meshtastic team, the people who are creating the software are there and like
Yeah.
meeting up and talking about it.
Yeah.
And like I was going around to like a lot of these big groups that are doing a lot of music festival stuff around and making sure that they all know about it and they're like, oh yeah, we already have it. And it's like, okay, great, right.
Yeah.
And so like these organic networks form in places like that, where
Yeah.
like you have all these people coming together. There is like Yuval Harari has this really great line that like Hitler was no more or less European than Churchill because the conflict between the two of them is what it meant to be European at that point in
Yeah.
history. And it's
Yeah.
like that's exactly the same with any of these places where you have like very different kinds of people who are in the same place working on things, disagreeing, having conflict. That's what it means to be people today, right? Like if you're not a part of the conversation, you're not a part of the conversation. Like you're not a part of the future. The future doesn't embody the perspective of a person who sits out from the conflicts that are happening today.
Right, exactly. I have found no more better situation to actually challenge a lot of people who I don't agree with than that place, than Burning Man. Like, there's a lot of people on the other team at Burning Man, and we all come together and we like it's like being in a natural disaster, but everyone has a lot of good stuff for the natural disaster.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you kind of have to make friends, right? Like, because you are all sharing, and it's you're less able to be totally separated. And like as a culture broadly, I've found that people are fairly dismissive of folks who come in without contributing and that kind of stuff. And I find that that's nice, but um, like
Takers.
that's how it is on the ground. It's not how it is on social media, right? Like it's a lot of artists, a lot of people who are professional artists, a lot of people who are not or are semi-pro. I would call myself a semi-pro artist because sometimes I get paid for the art that I do, but sometimes it's just because I have to do it. Um, and so, I mean, it's different. I don't know. It's a weird place, but yeah, I exactly. I gotta read that one. That one's another good one. Ah, man, you've read way more William Gibson than I have.
I've read everything.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm obsessed.
Um, I don't know. Somehow became like some guy was like Burning Man somehow became a spectator event, the precise antithesis of its original inception. Like, I don't know, man. I'm sure that there is a bunch of spectation, and I actually posted for Burning Man, which I've never done. I've never like posted pictures from Burning Man. That always seemed like it was the thing, but I I don't know. I like the people who are in my audience. I wanted to bring them along. Like I've got people who are my friends in there, and I'm like, "Hey, look at this crazy thing I did. It was weird, right?" And people were very upset. But it's fine. I mean, I always
Yeah.
have like this attractor repeller
It's
thing where I'm like, join me. Okay, now if you are looking to gotcha me, if you're looking for some reason to cancel me, here's one. Okay, now go away. Okay, now the rest of the people who want to have a nuanced discussion, let's hang out and have a nuanced discussion. Um, and
I
I'm
think
like,
it's
okay,
like any
yeah.
group of people, any event, any kind of like community, there's this ratio of givers and takers.
Mm,
And I think you're like everybody's first time at Burning Man, your job is to not die, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's like if you accomplish that, great. Like you don't have to do more than that. If you can, great. If you want to, great. But like you don't have to, right? And
right.
your first time, it's like everything is magic. Like why can't the world be like this all the time? And then you come the second time, it's like, oh God, what happened to the magic, right?
Yeah,
And then eventually you realize like, oh, I have to be the magic. Like I have to be a
right.
giver. I can't just be a taker. And having
That's
that
why I like it.
having that ratio of like givers and takers is like very important. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Burning Man is a place where there are generally like 60-70% of people are givers. And
Yeah,
then you have the weekenders, essentially, the people who come for a couple of days at the end and they like come to take a selfie with all the art. And it's
yeah,
like, fuck you, right?
yeah.
And that fuck you is the point of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so be there and say it, or else nobody's saying it. And then everything you're worried about is true, right? Like you have to
Yeah.
be the change. You have to be the fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. When I was like little, I figured out Santa Claus wasn't real and I was like so miffed. And then my mom was like, Santa Claus is real. Everyone is Santa Claus. Now that you know
Uh,
you are Santa Claus, welcome to Santa Claus. And I was like, oh, and that like informed most of my life after that point. Like
that's
just that
great.
moment was just like, you are Santa Claus. you know and like I always say this, like, every story about an apocalypse is about the present moment. You're always at the end of the world. That's what now means. And like all of the stories about the apocalypse have like, and then God comes in and saves everyone. And like, you're God. You have to save everyone. Get going. Like, you're on it. It's your job. Fix it because we're all there. It's all of us. It's an aggregate thing. That's why a lot of Turtle Islanders call it the Great Spirit, is it's not like a thing. It's the aggregate. It's like they've had, a higher order agent theory for thousands of years. So, it's not a new idea, right? So yeah, I mean, this stuff is not intuitive, But yeah, I mean, we're not looking for reasons to dislike a thing. It's what we're doing is we're trying to look at the impact, right? Impact is quantifiable and addressable systematically, whereas like, gotchas and well, I'm good and you're bads aren't addressable. They're really just like mudslinging and it's not helpful. And that's why I think, I mean, as usual, as everyone says, we need to teach everyone critical thinking, like
Yeah.
critical theory. I don't know. I think we should do like a whole Saturday on what is critical theory at some point.
Yeah.
That would be fun. How do we like take apart these big problems into small addressable systematically addressable problems where like one person can go, all right, I'm gonna make it my problem to do X. And that's also why I like Burning Man, because like there's like the resto crew, there's the gate crew, there's the people who do the porta potties, there's the people who like just go out into the playa and with trash bags that aren't part of the resto crew and they just pick up trash. Why? They're making it their problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
My
those people
bestie
don't
is,
post, I'm out here, look, picking up trash. Like, they're not, you don't see
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You see like the shock, anger. Well, look at these people and how they've left half the things out.
Right.
And it's like, well, the resto crew's not done, bro. Like, what? Wait,
Right. My
Uh,
bestie is one of those people, and I
yeah.
brought him this year for his first burn, and
Oh,
he's always been like that. Everywhere we go, he's like picking up pieces of
yeah,
everything everywhere, and it's like
yeah.
he's a steward. Like
That's the
people are
way.
stewards.
This is the way. This is the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Um, there's a lot of cool stuff. I don't know. Like,
I had some like change of topic, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
People were asking, and I kind of also am at this like point where I'm debating what to do next. But like people are asking, that really long conversation that you and I had off camera uh with the other person who was there about um agentic. And I've played around a lot with it strikes me that like the whole framework that Microsoft has published is essentially like it's a chat room where like an arbitrary number of LLMs are jumping in, and it's like
Hmm.
your goal here is to just get as much inference cost as possible into the framework, right? Like this is not.
Oh, you're talking about AutoGen right now?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was how they figured out that more agents with different roles more better, but yeah, they did it with like, what if agents had Slack? We'll do that. And then yeah, it was like a researcher guy, you could tell that no product manager had touched it when it first came out.
But it's still like that. And
Yeah.
it's also
Yeah, it has
it obscures almost everything that's happening from the user.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Where
it
I want to be able to like see where did the logic go wrong, and like we can jump back here and do something differently. Maybe we get to the correct answer, and like how do we structurally build that in, and like
forks.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and it's I feel like I haven't found a framework that's like that. I found a bunch that claim to be like that, but I feel like
Not super great. The forks are not good. Sampling is still a problem. The OpenAI agents framework is the one that I use the most because it has tracing the best, but it doesn't
Codex,
support. It's not that, no, not Codex, but the agents framework.
like the in the chat.
They're not like in a chat. They do have a set of messages that you can pass through as like a full context, but I don't know.
So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I recently read this article and it said you should do the simplest thing that could possibly work. And I think like immediately I put that into my like agents dot markdown, right? Like they should all be doing that's obviously yes, exactly. That's how they should all be doing everything I tell them to do. Uh, but also it strikes me that like on a meta level, like the next level up, it should work like agents should work that way. It shouldn't be like here's 100 LLMs, right? Like what, like why is that the number? Like why not three? Like what's different between three and four? Why 100, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, it seems like a lot of the incentives that are like Microsoft's incentive is like do more inference.
Hmm.
And it's like that's not necessarily like helpful. And it's also like definitely not the simplest thing that could possibly work. And so
Yeah.
for me, the question is like, how do we build something really simple that uses like the minimum possible number of them to accomplish something in an atomic way where it's like decomposing things, doing the things, reporting back, checking it, right? And then it's like reviewing what it did and like suggesting changes to its process every time in order to
Yeah.
reduce in the future like the amount of steps it takes. And I just
Right.
haven't seen that. And I don't even really like I feel like I'm starting to see what it would need to look like, but I feel like I don't even see that yet.
Well,
Curious what
there
you
was
think.
this paper about React agents, which is reflection and action, right? And so this was the foundation of thinking agents, right? You try to do a thing, then you reflect on whether or not that's a good idea, slash second guess yourself, and then if you're committed, then you issue a tool call. Um, and so that was like how we got language model agents in the first place, or at least that was the first people who put a paper together. There were a lot of code examples of this prior to that moment. And then, there's a number of small, like full agent, like prototypes where the agent thinks and then it reflects and then it like potentially does a tool call and then it has a second, and like there's all these different architectures or sometimes multi-agent architectures that have like a single interface, similar to Codex and Claude, but like they've got a lot going on under the hood. And then there's like this one framework that I really like called 12 factor agent. I linked it in the Zoom chat. And it says like one, context is everything. Context engineering is like all the information you need, a list of what you're doing, who wants you to do it, why, and like how much of it's done, all kinds of information, right?
Yeah,
And then, it also says own your context and roll your own agent framework for the thing that you're doing. Like if you're trying to productionize something, or if you're trying to build a system that is robust, you pretty much have to roll your own, and all of the frameworks are for a specific use case. That is usually not the one that you want. And so there is no one framework that is like the best framework. Um, and there's some stuff like LangGraph, which is okay, and the OpenAI Agents framework, which is okay, both of which support MCP, which is a nice emerging tool standard. But yeah, you kind of have to roll your own shit every time, because it's it, metacognitive processes are non-standard. There
right.
is no the thinking the way that people think. Like sometimes people have a thought, they say it out loud, they get a bunch of feedback from other people, then they like change the thought, and then they like absorb what other people said, and then they say it again. Other people like sit and think and listen to what other people are saying, and then they create an aggregate in their mind, and then they do a math model, and then they write a thing about the math model. Those are two valid ways of doing things, right? And
Right.
so you
And
can't build a framework that encompasses all metacognitive
sure.
processes in the first
Yeah.
place.
Well, I think I agree with that. I've heard like I think oftentimes the criticism in particular from Gary Marcus, Jan LeCun, like all these people who are like very vocal critics of LLMs as the future of AI, which I 100% agree with. They're saying like they're not really uh coming up with a new idea. They're pattern matching onto something they've already seen, by and large, right? Which
Mhm.
yes, sure. Also, that's like 99% of human behavior too, right? Like
Yes.
that's
That's
not
not a
like
that's not a valid criticism of capability. It's only a
it's a
criticism of
criticism of
ingenuity.
or of the way that we're trying to use them, right? So
Hmm.
like in that example, like if you have right, like you have the problem, it's looking at like the context, it's building the context, it's deciding on a schema. There's some concise number of schemas that encompass like almost all problems, right? Like,
Right,
and
right.
so maybe that's the step that's missing is this like pre-metacognitive step of like what even is the thing we're trying to think about? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, are we trying to fix a Git issue? Are we trying to, like find a complicated answer to a complicated question from reference materials? Like,
Mm-hmm.
these are different kinds of problems, yes, but there is some concise no, like set of patterns that encompass basically everything, right? And like that's also these are the same like mental frameworks that humans use, all of which we will have at some point learned, right? Like it's not I think people assume that they themselves are doing things that they are not and extrapolate
Right.
that LLMs can't do that because they are limited in this other way, which is actually the same way that we are limited,
They are limited. Yeah.
oftentimes.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of people I think have this concept that they are like, well, I'm tying in all of these concepts and LLMs don't have an understanding of how all these concepts relate. And it's like, yeah, that's actually what the autoencoder does. So like they do in fact have what's known as the latent space where they find a coordinate for a concept or a word or token, whatever it is that they're, or like the trumpet sound, and then they place it in that space, and that's the like the thing that you feel of like I'm taking 58,000 concepts and like a constellation of them and tying them to, that's just the latent space, that's the autoencoder, like you have that. Well, but then I'm focused on a specific thing. Cool, that's the attention module, they also have that. And it's like, well, but then I take a second and I like run the idea through in my head. Okay, that's reflection, they also have that process down. Just keep naming your processes and we'll find a
Right,
place where they're
right.
doing those. But
And
like,
all of those things were constructed because they didn't do that before. And it
yeah,
was like new
exactly.
faculties that were engineered into the model, right?
Right, because we had to elucidate them first and then
And it's
write
like,
them.
is there something we're still missing? Do we need to add something else? Or
Yeah,
like,
make the
are we
list.
like close enough that it can do most stuff now, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
And
this
agent
AGI
design is
idea.
a search space, right? Like metacognition is a search space, Like what's the best metacognition to design software? What's the best metacognition to solve a philosophical like gray area? Those are different. And so there's like this one paper called ADAS, the Automated Design of Agentic Systems. And so it treats every agent as a phase in a pipeline. It abstracts them into one function called forward, and then the agent does some process. Maybe it thinks about the inputs, maybe it spawns 5 other agents and has them have a conversation. But yeah, the automated design of agentic systems paper treats this whole thing as a search space, and it was able to get like records when it came out, record scores on the ARC benchmark because it was able to just execute the search space. It's a it's a token intensive process, but they did it on GPT 3.5. And so I'm like, well, what would it be with Quen? Like let's run, and the ADAS repo is like out there, it's runnable. I've run it. It costs like $40 to find the optimum solution to 8 problems. So it was like too expensive, but that was when 3.5 was kind of expensive. And I'm like, I
And
just want to
bad.
see what it would do overnight running on my computer, and I just like haven't run that experiment again yet, but like
And like the modern stuff is 1,000 times better, but it's also 1,000 times cheaper.
cheaper, faster, less energy intensive.
So it's a
uh,
million times better, right? If it's 1,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times better, it's a million times better.
yeah. Bro says the attention mechanism is just a pattern lookup. It's a hot field network. I don't think it's actually a hot field network. It's not a lookup. It's something that's constructed on the query, which is the input data. So it's how the LLM understands what you said, because it has some layers that pay attention to grammar, some layers that pay attention to semantics, but it's like a mini multi-layer perceptron kind of
Do you mean the
like flat, like attention.
like attention is all you need attention?
Yeah.
It's just
I
like
don't
all the layers being fully connected.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot field network, but I could be wrong. Maybe I was a hot field network. Oh no, never mind. Well, it's content addressable memory. Single layer of neurons where every neuron is connected to every neuron except itself. Well, it's not a single layer of neurons. It is associative memory, but it's like it's a neural, it's, you know, yeah, that was something that came out after attention. So it's a different thing, but you know.
But it's kind of like 1,000 of those in a row.
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't know
the
what it is that a Hopfield network is what's the point? Like why patterns are associatively recalled. Yeah, the thing is the attention mechanism goes away at the end, and so you lose whatever is in the attention. So it's not a memory network, it's a working uh it's a it's like a neural network that only focuses on what was said just now, as discrete from the or as distinct from the what is it? The actual like latent space, the weights and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess it's definitely it's not a Hopfield network for sure. It's not a memory thing either because it goes away, you know. Just like your train of thought. I don't know. Yeah, words are hard. There's a lot of words. They all mean a lot of things. Yeah. Oh,
well, I think like in terms of like the state of agentic or what's where things are at. It seems like one of the biggest challenges has been having an environment to even test or iterate on the kinds of things that we're talking about. And I recently was talking to an LLM trying to figure out, is there already some kind of like for example with Codex, when you ask Codex something, it's like spinning up a container, a whole virtual machine within which to execute the query and work on the answer. And it's like, that's kind of crazy, right? Like,
yeah.
do you really need a whole, like, it's like installing the
I
operating system.
really want to do containers. Everybody is obsessed with containers. And I'm like, you guys, I'm from before containers, and Docker is the biggest resource hog on my computer. It's the most expensive way to run anything.
Yeah.
Like,
But also,
how does
like, why can't you just like git reset, try something else? You don't need to you don't need to
yeah, Git
reinstall
is
the operating
fine.
system.
A virtual environment is fine. You
But
know,
like the Codex containers don't have, like, you can't tell it like just do a git reset or like do a new pull do a pull before you create a new, like, we have to merge first or it's gonna be all
right.
fucked up. And it's like I don't know how to do that, right?
Yeah. I like the cursor agent, honestly, for this. Like, I find that the cursor agent is my go-to coding thing.
Well, so I just recently discovered Chasm. Have you used Chasm before?
No, it's Chasm.
It runs in a VM and it is Docker, but it lets you can like create an unlimited number of instances of whatever you want in like containers, and then it runs in the browser. So you're able to say like I want like Aider, Gemini, all the different
Oh, it runs any agent in a browser.
well, it just gives you like give me like a Debian, right? And
Yeah.
then I can build like a Docker container that contains all of those like code tools and Git, and like
Mhm.
you can just like open one of those and it's like already built, right? Uh, and then it's persistent, or you can get rid of it. So like you could create one and it's like, okay, this is my coding environment for this project.
Mhm.
And I can like do a pull, I can like use my OLLAMA and everything to like use any of these different like agentic frameworks to do whatever I want to do, and then like push, and then I can close it, and then I can come back and it's still there. It doesn't have to reinstall the operating system for every query. You know, I can have like these containers that are
Stable
focused
thing.
on different projects and
Mhm.
like open it when I need it, and then just like do a pull, right?
What, how do you get
Um,
to Chasm? Where is that?
Chasm is it's just free. You can run it yourself, or you can
Um,
probably
uh, uh,
it's
okay.
KASM.
KASM. Okay.
So I'm currently like in the middle of moving everything
I see.
to a new hypervisor because I hate my hypervisor
Hmm.
and switching all the stuff over to Proxmox. I'm still on XCP. I've been on XCP for like a really long time,
Oh yeah, okay.
but there's some problems with XCP
Mm,
that
there
it's
are.
just
I don't know. I mean, what was it? Somebody was like, isn't the point of containerization as isolation for the agent? They can get out of containers. Like, they're maybe the best at getting out of containers, you know?
Sure,
Like,
but for me it's not that. It's
yeah,
like, are they gonna fuck up the OS? Are they gonna like
they're gonna
do
install stuff
something?
to the system Python while I'm not looking. Yeah.
Yeah, like all these packages are installed. I don't even know what these are. It goes away. That for me, that's what it is. It's like do whatever crazy shit you want in this container, and then it goes away. And I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about like everything is not fucked now because you installed like
You
all these
upgraded
ports
my
are
system
open.
Python to 3.13 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Skip 3.13 is the worst. Anyway.
I think I'm
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's like potentially a really exciting way to test and iterate on these kinds of things of like how can we build like how do we build the substrate to be able to build a good agentic system that is local and open source and using like Quen instead of Anthropic or whatever.
Yeah.
And like how do we, because like the just the Quen 4 instruct is so good. It is exactly what I have so often wished instruct models were, where it's like do this and it's like exactly that and nothing else, and it's like
Yes.
and it's correct, and it's like thinking about it first, and it's like you know it takes 4 gigs of RAM. Like it's crazy how good it is.
Yeah. It's pretty bonkers. I like the stack, the orange pie to run your 16 gig model. Like you could run a 14B. You don't have to run a 7. Put 14B quantized down to 8. You'll use 8.4 gigabytes of RAM and the rest can be a UI. You could throw home automation on that, whatever you want. Um, and then, you don't have to containerize it. You can. It helps. I wouldn't run a container on like a one of these tiny things, but um, they're like $150, but you could run a local AI with them. And
The
then you
thing
have
that's
this really great setup as well that's like for beefy AI, big ones. Uh what's your current recommendation? What are you running now? A lot of people ask
uh,
me that.
well, since I started to recommend it, basically the whole market for this is gone. They're all gone now because it was a crazy good deal. But the NVIDIA P40 accelerator card is
Mhm.
24 gigs of video RAM and 4,000 CUDA cores, and you can fit like a bunch of them in a server, and like it's 10 out of 10. Like it's really great.
And then
And
what were those? Like you found a
they were
money?
like a yeah, they were like $150 when I bought a bunch of them, and now it's like way more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all gone. Like you can't even find them because
Yeah.
it's like a really good deal.
There's a lot of situations like that where like a new chip will get upgraded. And so a bunch of companies will be like, "Oh, well, we need the biggest chip to build the bestest thing." And then they'll dump whatever they had. And so then the market bottoms out for it because they just want to move them for like $100.
Yeah,
And so then you get them for like nothing, and then you can run a big super cluster in your house. And that's really the
yeah.
move. It's not like any specific thing. Just
I
we're not
also
looking for
think
new computers here. We're looking for like slightly old computers that were industrial grade, that are
yeah.
no longer state of the art enough.
I would say if you like more modern like Xeon chips, for example, you can get like a 40 core Xeon that has like modern AVX in the ISA. It's a lot of acronyms. So like graphics cards are generally better than CPUs because graphics cards can do matrix multiplication way
Mm.
faster, which is what all AI essentially is today. It's like doing like a really huge number of multiplication
Yeah,
very fast.
yeah.
That's very hard to do on CPU, but new CPUs are really good at that now. And so you can get like a 20 or 40 core Xeon with modern advanced vector instruction sets for the instruction set architecture that it's running, which is like, you have to check. It's very complicated, but like you can, for not very much money, get like a super high-end CPU from 8 years ago, and like it's with these modern models, especially these small models, like with Quen models, they are designed to work really well on CPU because that's what they were built for. And same with the current generation of Llama. It was designed to run on cell phones, right? So it's
Mhm.
like designed to work quickly. You can get, like 15, 20 tokens per second on a CPU, like even on a phone. Um, and so it's still going to be better if you have graphics memory, if you have a GPU, if you have CUDA cores, but like realistically, like a Raspberry Pi will run any of these like Quen like really fast. And so like if I was trying to build something like high performance at home lab type of thing today, now that like the P40 market is kind of gone, like I probably would look at like blade servers, right? Which is like people don't want those anymore. That's like another like really high performance computing device from like a decade ago where you can get hundreds of cores that are Xeon that have AVX, and like each one can run its separate model, and you can have 20, 30 of them in a single server. And so it's like you can be running like 30 LLMs at the same time, and like it's working pretty fast, right?
And you can connect them together with like there are these different techniques of different cables that people will use to connect multiple servers together. There's like InfiniBand that I think is over Ethernet, if I'm correct. I keep looking at this. But there's other ones where they'll just connect people or they'll just connect servers through like PCI or something. Like they'll have a specific chip that just goes into another server. And that's two PCI slots, and PCI is pretty fast in terms of the buffer. And so like there's ways to also connect these servers together, but it's pretty complicated to do beyond even just putting together a blade server with a rack. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of need a rack for a blade server is like the hard thing, I think, for most people.
Yeah. And I always argue like don't do that
Yeah.
because the
The sound,
bandwidth constraints for huh?
so the sound will drive you crazy in your house of the band.
But also like the if you're running a an LLM, the slowest part of the the connection between the cores and the memory, the slowest thing between them is the speed it will run at. And so if you have like 20 blades, which like 20 little computers inside of a big server, the network connection between them is like 99.9999% slower than anything inside a single one.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you really need to run like a crazy big model, uh, it's gonna be really slow. But
yeah,
you can, you
yeah,
know, uh, realistically, like you should just run stuff that will run on each one separately, right?
yeah,
And then
honestly.
they can work together and, you know,
Yeah, honestly, yeah. If you're gonna have a multi-agent system, having multiple LLMs connected through network is actually fine, especially if they're all doing stuff asynchronously, right? And so it's
yeah,
really about
exactly.
how do you set up the research swarm, or how do you like, parallelize things, and um it is making a big impact. I will say, like, probably one of the unsung environmental impacts of AI is how much bot traffic is being driven by it, right? Like most most request origins now are bots. And like scrapers and agents and like automated request makers. I don't know in terms of traffic if it's the same, because streaming media and streaming video does use up a lot of bandwidth, which is different than, you know, like the individual number of requests. But like most of the people I
Right.
know that work in, you know, actual tech in like the real like defense of this stuff are saying like, yeah, bot traffic's like anywhere from 60 to 80% of requests for most websites. Depends on the website. Probably mine not getting as much bot traffic as CNN.com, you know, or like archive.com, right? Or whatever, archive.org. But like,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that that's an issue that isn't really about individual consumer use, especially because most of if you like send an AI to do deep research, like they have a lot of those pages cached at this point, and so they just hit the cache. But a lot of bad actors are using these tools and techniques, and they're not interested in preserving the health of the internet. And so, I mean, that's sort of the thing about like AI and any tool is that like, yeah, the bad guys are also going to use it, And so like they're going to be jerks about it in the way that they use it, and like your use of it will not impact their use of it, or your like condemnation of it will not impact their use of it. Like you saying guns are bad, it will not make that like people who are going to use them to do bad things give up the guns. So
Right.
like it's sort of the similar argument. But and there's, CDL Karen brings up, what about LLM.text? And like, yeah, the good guys are gonna respect LLM.text. The bad guys are gonna ignore LLM.text, just like they ignore robots.text right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This is for me like my argument of like why I think like any kind of regulation is just a waste of everyone's time because it's
yeah,
like everything that we're afraid of will continue to happen if it's illegal. And it's like
right.
it's
It's
just a
like
waste of time.
It's like banning spam. Like you can definitely hold companies accountable, and that's good, but it doesn't stop spam. It just makes it so that now there's like a cottage industry of lawyers going after companies for spamming people.
Right.
And
It's
like,
like
okay,
banning crime.
yeah,
Like
crime is banned, you guys, so it's not, don't worry, we banned crime. So it's actually fine now because we banned it. No more crime. We banned.
yeah.
Like,
I always love this signs. It's like no graffiti. Like, oh, okay, okay. I was
uh,
going to, but now I won't. Right.
this says not to do it right on there. So we better let's pack it up, everyone. Let's go.
Yeah.
Sign says.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I'm such a nerd, and I like for my work and my impact to be like for me to know that I'm doing the right thing, because it's so easy to do a thing that you mean to do, uh that is like you mean to do good, and then it turns out, whoops, you did bad actually, because you drove this, or you reduced this, or you used up this, or whatever, and you're like, well, how could this be bad? How could and it's like, yeah, okay, well, let's look at the impact. Okay, and now the numbers say it's bad, and you're like, okay, well, that's not what I meant to do. So it's hard. I don't know. I used to obsess. Like, I got a lot of people into tech, and I used to send people surveys. I'm like, "Are you happy? Did I ruin your life by convincing you to do technology?" And they're like, "I convinced myself to do technology." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I helped." And so, did I ruin your life? I'm sorry for putting you in there. Like, no, it's great, and that's what Liz, chill out. And I'm like, no, I just want to know whether or not I'm harming people. Like it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do the math. The math is surprising a lot of the time, when you actually do the like externalities calculations and stuff like that. So, yeah.
One of the things that we talked about at the Meshtastic meetups that I thought you might be interested in,
Mm.
um, you know, so like I should say also, like when you so like if you have these devices that are capable of doing AI, right? So
Mhm.
you have like an Olama server on here, right?
Mhm.
And some Python or whatever. this takes 5 watts and it can run all these models. It doesn't need to be on. So like if you have a LoRa node, right?
Hmm.
Um, it needs to do some AI. It can turn it on, do the AI, and then turn it off, right? So
Hmm.
like one of the really cool things with these like low power AI devices is like you can include them, but it doesn't have to be running all the time, right?
Hmm.
So like imagine at Burning Man or elsewhere, camps having a node at the camp, so you know where the camp is, it's on the map, right? And then if you message that
Like,
node, yeah, there's like a chatbot and it knows all the programming, it knows things like the current weather forecast, it knows things like what's the theme for
is
the
the sound
party.
system on right now? You know,
Yeah, yeah. Like
during the mud
what are that
time, I was like in the
yeah,
tent
yeah.
and it sounded like Burning Man was happening elsewhere. That's what it
Uh-huh.
sounded like. But then if you like climbed on top of something tall, you could see that Burning Man was not, everyone was just in their tents and stuff and playing their sound systems in their RVs or like at their camp, but like there weren't people there. It's just that the sound system was on, right? Or something like that. And so it
Yeah.
sounded like Burning Man was happening, but you couldn't really tell until you climbed up on something. And then you were like, oh, it's not that I'm being lame and hanging out in my tent and yeah, I'm just like broken and stuck in a tent, but no one else is. It's that like and you could check that kind of stuff if you had that. I think we could extend that to the real world too. Like, we could extend that to libraries, we could extend that to like community centers, and having a chat
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
that people can ask questions. What's going on? How do I get involved in like protecting the land? Oh, okay. Here's what you do.
And months, right? Like you could receive a link that allows you to add the group chat that is the mud where there is some virtual environment of the place and it
Yeah.
has people announce the wizard walks in and says an incantation and suddenly the party is beginning in an hour and so you should come over, right?
Yeah.
Uh or like, any number of things that would be like cute and interesting. Maybe there's like you talk to someone and now you have this other you like one of the things this year is like a lot of camps had like a camp group chat, right? Which there's so many things that if you had a camp group chat, having a bot in there like doing things for
So
you,
helpful.
yeah. And then imagine like that bot is also in the public chat and you can be like, hey, I'm in the camp, I need to be added, and it's like, are you sure? Like, what's the secret password? Right? And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, here you go,
You
right?
gotta wait. Who do you know in the camp? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then it
I'm gonna
messages
ask
that
them. I'll be
person.
right back.
This person real? Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Like
there's so many cool things it could
that
do.
was not a thing that applications could do before, which is like, wait, how do you know the camp? Oh, you're Jess's friend? Okay, well, Jess, hey, what's up? Oh, you want this person around? Great. Okay. I added them to the chat.
Yeah,
Like that that was not, you would have to have a login flow, you'd have to get a token from someone, and like Jess wouldn't be a word, you'd have to know the token, and if Jess
right.
didn't know the token, then Jess could not help you. And like, just knowing their name, like, wouldn't give you somebody in the camp that you could ask, and the AI would not be know to ask, you know.
Also, everybody was posting this year, where's Golden Guy? And everybody was like, you have to find it. Like nobody was telling anybody, right?
Right.
And I figured it out on Monday. I spent that was my like Monday goal. I was like, I'm gonna figure it out today. And I finally figured it out at like 11:30 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
And uh every year it's different. For people who don't know, Golden Guy is this camp. It's like really fucking cool. It's always a secret where it is because when people figure out where it is, it's too many people. It's not fun anymore. So it's like they make it really hard to figure out where it is. And it was super cute this year. A lot of it was destroyed, but like it was super cute. And the secret this year was you had to go to Playa Info and there was a map, a placement map of all the camps. And I knew a couple of things about how they ask to be placed from past years. And I had like kind of narrowed it down to an area where I knew they would be. And I knew that they would go all the way through the block. And so it's like, well, how many of the camps that are within a couple of blocks of the place they asked to be placed by are uh going all the way through? And I'm reading all the names, and one of them is like in Latin. And I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, Gaudium genus Arius. That's not correct Latin,
Right.
but the acronym is the
Gaudium.
same.
Yeah, that's
So, and it essentially it means a guy whose name is Gold,
uh
right?
amazing. Yeah.
And it's the same first three letters as Golden Guy Alley, right? So it's like, okay, it's got to be that. And then I went, and it was, right?
Yeah.
Um,
The best. I love like the little Easter eggs like that stuff.
but
We found tuna.
imagine,
We found tuna camp.
oh,
We found Fry Guy, or well, somebody in my camp found Fry Guy. And I was like, and he was gonna come out to the library on Wednesday, but then the rains wrecked all of that. So yeah,
I don't know what that is.
it's like a ancient camp of giving away food, but without a license.
Oh, well, so imagine all of these muds. There's like a scavenger hunt. You need to go talk to this wizard, and like, oh, you need to go talk, right? And they're
Yeah,
keeping track that you didn't skip. Like, did you? Oh, I'm gonna give you different instructions because someone told you how to get to the end of the scavenger hunt. So now you have to start over,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Give you something false or like send you to the start over machine.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's so many really cool things you could do with this, and it would really not be that hard.
Yeah. No, it's really fun. We had an entity room where like it would ask you a bunch of questions, a bunch of reflection questions, and then you would tell a story, and then we record the story, and that goes into the big library of stories that we
Okay.
say in the books, right? And so,
The
but it's like,
Wanderer's Library.
yeah, but it's like, yeah, exactly. But it like asks you a bunch of questions, and it was an LLM that we had do it, and like speech to text and all that stuff. And it's really it's fun to build an NPC and then give it to people and have them go through like a bunch of reflection questions. I
Yeah,
really like it. Like I think a lot of people had some like really profound experiences in there, and that's what I'm going for. So, I like that kind of stuff. And it's not that hard, y'all. It's really just like you tell I have these ones that I use to teach. Like I have a 2 weeks to Python one or like a 7 languages in 7 weeks one. And they just say like, on day one, establish these things, then on each day, do this process, use this sequence of topics, but then it generates it for each person based off of what they say their interests are, right? So like I use this for like mass lesson customization basically. You talk with the AI and you're like, I love gardening and solar punk, and I haven't ever really been a tech person, and like, can you just gear all my things for this? And it's like great. And then it walks you through learning to code, but it makes all the examples about like gardening and solar punk
oh,
stuff, right? And if you're like, well, I like trains, and then it's all about trains. And then there's your what I like, and wizards, and it's like, okay, well, we're gonna use magic incantations, and this is gonna be your
oh,
spell book, and it like it yes ands you, and I'm like, these are pretty cool experiences you can create, like little conversation. Don't tell the travelers the answer to the riddle until they've at least had 10 back and forths with you that are not trivial, or something like that, or until they've told at least one element of their story, or until, something like
yeah,
that. Till they tell you what their
yeah,
top value is out of these three things. And so that's fun. It's good. It gets people thinking. As I'm a teacher, I like to get people to think hard about things, you know.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm actually super pleased whenever I have like a really controversial video with like 500 comments of being like, you don't understand the environment. I'm like, oh, did you read a bunch of papers about it? Got you reading, didn't I? Oh, and you want to, now you found a bunch of numbers. Now you did the math yourself. Haha, tricked you into doing the math. Tricked you into
yeah.
reading the things. I gotcha.
My favorite is the ones where it's like, look at this report from MIT that says that you're wrong. And I'm like, you didn't read it
You didn't read it. Here's the
because it
line.
says that I'm right.
Yeah.
you know.
Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, but whatever gets people to read, I don't care. Do you want to prove me wrong? Haha, got you to read. Uh, you know, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very possible. You just have to get it to ask questions. Like, this it's called the flipped interaction pattern. Ask me 5 questions that will help me to X.
Right.
I want to use my Saturday for the revolution. Ask me 5 questions that will help me to do it.
Careful
Oh
asking
man,
Quen that.
try asking Quen that. Like, yeah, there are some models that won't talk about Tiananmen Square, sure. But there are also like
No,
people
but it's
that
gonna
want
tell
it.
you like take down the government.
Yeah, it is. It's all the models are like the government sounds bad.
Yeah, like especially the Chinese one. It's like wild. They're like, here's how you can set up a distributed network of cells to disrupt the operations of the state. It's like
What? Why are those AIs being released onto the internet? I don't know. Probably no reason. Probably no reason at all.
that seems like maybe it was intentionally designed to work that way.
Oh man, somebody says, has anyone made a Reddit bot that says when comments clearly didn't read the article? That's very doable. That is so doable. I want to do a fallacious argument bot that just goes in and is like, this does not address the central point. This only attacks the credibility of the speaker and does not complete the rhetorical triangle. Like,
Yeah,
and like sends you some things to read about rhetoric, like I'm fine having a great debate with someone who brings the full rhetorical triangle, but like it's just nah is not a fun. Like, what? Come on, man, do something. Like, say words. You know,
yeah.
come at me with words and numbers. Come at me with some math, something.
Or just like the link to the wiki about the fallacy that was committed.
Yeah. I like yourfallacy.is. That's like one of my favorite websites.
Uh,
It's like yourfallacy.is, I think. And it's yeah, your logical fallacy is, and it like you can pick it up. You're like straw man, you misrepresented someone's argument to make it easier to attack. Or
right.
like there's
Or
all this.
like like debunking false charge of fallacy would be interesting.
Yeah, the two
Like,
core K, avoiding having to engage with criticism by turning it back on the accuser, answering criticism with criticism, or like, yeah, the fallacy, I think is in here
yeah.
somewhere.
People always like appeal to authority is a fallacy. And it's like, no, it's
No,
not.
it's actually part of the rhetorical triangle, right?
It, it's a fallacy if the authority is irrelevant or invalid.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, like, you know, I mean, people are like, well, you're not an environmental scientist. Sure, but I do analyze the carbon cost of like my actual computer use rather than making wild guesses. Like a lot of people who are, environmental scientists will pick one data center and say this data center represents all data centers. And if we project from these numbers from 2023, then everything looks terrible. And you're like, hey man, is that science or is that some guessing? Like, because we can tell you, because we have to know for billing reasons, which data center was everything run at?
Yeah,
What servers were they run on? And then like about the characteristics of those specific types of servers and what energy costs are and what heat. And you know about the specific data center because you can actually look up this data center, that data center, and you could see like, oh, data center A is great, but data center B really bad, and so what the actual real carbon cost is for like all applications that you run. And for regulatory reasons, which is why regulations are useful in a lot of cases, data centers have to report on their carbon stuff, right?
reporting. Yeah,
And so people who run these applications have a dashboard that shows like, oh, you ran it on US Central 1 versus US East 1A. And so your carbon footprint is this.
yeah.
And
That's
in
actually generally not regulatory requirement though. That's financial requirements
yeah, yeah, exactly.
because
Um,
they want to
so
make sure
it's
that you care
yeah,
about your sustainability. Right.
Yeah, and when you launch a server in the UI, it's like these regions are low carbon and these regions aren't, and there's not an upcharge for the low carbon stuff. Like, importantly to note, there's no upcharge. So it's like, or at least not on Google Cloud. I don't know. I don't use AWS every day, so I don't know
Um,
anymore, but but like, yeah,
well,
I don't know. I have like a lot of those details in my dashboard. So I'm like,
yeah,
you guys, yeah, like it does actually. So I don't know. I mean, I want to teach critical thinking anymore. That's what I've decided.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have a this other call with the Meshtastic group,
Great.
but
I'm looking forward to hearing how that's
it was
going.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah. See
good.
you next week.
Yeah,
Talk to you soon.
see you in the future. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.